In the middle of an unprecedented heat wave and a worsening drought, western states in the U.S. are bracing for what could be an even harsher wildfire season than last year's, the worst on record. With many residents still picking up the pieces, they worry about what's on the horizon. Stephanie Sy has this report from southern Oregon.
You can see where this area burned over here.
These are the charred remains of a section of the Bear Creek Greenway that burned early in the fire season. Too early. It's bone dry along the 20-mile trail that runs through Jackson County in southern Oregon. Just a spark in this tinderbox could become another disaster, like it did last summer.
So there's vegetative fuels like this all along the Greenway, and the fire was just moving rapidly. And then,
Bob Horton was the chief of Jackson County's Fire District 3 when the Almeda fire erupted last September, consuming the towns of Phoenix and Talent and leveling some 2,800 structures.
I remember vividly, like it was yesterday, coming across the radio saying, we have one chance to stop this fire.
Will Cleland, his battalion chief, says the first priority was saving lives.
The fire that day was forcing us to decide about neighborhoods, not homes or streets, blocks of streets.
Like which neighborhoods you would just have to let
Yeah,
burn.
we were forced to decide which neighborhoods we would be passing by. And that's hard. These are real families.
I feel that was my last day.
Beatrice Gomez remembers the fire drawing closer, the ash, the smoke. She grabbed important papers and packed her kids into a van to flee, but soon found herself on a packed road surrounded on all sides by fires.
My brother called me. He said, where are you? I said, I'm stuck. And he told me,
You said I'm stuck?
I'm stuck in the fire. My 5 years old told everybody, close the eyes, because this is bad and everybody's scared.
They survived, but lost their house. She, her husband, and their 4 kids have been living in this cramped RV, which they were able to buy with their own money and a church donation. These RV parks are scattered throughout the area, filled with displaced fire survivors, many still traumatized by that day in September, which happened to also be Beatrice's birthday.
Are you still scared of wildfires?
Oh, yes, every day. Especially last week, we have a small fire close to her. I see the smoke, and I look in every 5 or 10 minutes. When I start to feel the smell, I start to answer.
Get anxious.
And I say, what did I do? So I put my paper again in the van. I have to run again. And my 5 years old daughter told me, hey, Mom, the smoke maybe is for carne asada. You don't have to worry. After the fire, I put my kids for therapy, because everybody, my old son is screaming and my daughter too, and I heard he cry in the sleep.
The kids attend schools in the Phoenix Talent District, where Tiffany Lambert and Lucy Broussard work. The Almeda fire arrived on the first day of school last year.
I looked back and I saw the big plume of smoke, and that is when panic set in, and just hearing where the fire was and knowing that it was getting really close to some of our families' homes, and it was some of our most at-risk families, broke my heart.
The fire left 1/3 of students in Phoenix Talent schools suddenly homeless.
I mean, our areas are just reaching the end of the cleanup phase.
So when you are looking at the school year starting in the fall, you're still going to have a big percentage of students that are displaced and not in permanent housing.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Officials estimate more than 400 families are still displaced. Among them, Alan Shepard's grandkids. With school out for the summer, they cooled off in a kiddie pool, hastily purchased on a day when temperatures broke all-time highs in southern Oregon. Like Beatrice Gomez, he says he had almost no warning to evacuate and could hardly save anything.
What was most valuable to you that you lost?
My whole home. And it hurts. But what can you do? You know, stick your chin up and keep going on. Try to make it right for these guys.
He can't afford to rebuild or even rent.
I got 4 kids. You know, even to get into a 3-bedroom, sure, I'm going to be up around $1,200, $1,300 a month. You know, and for me, that's not feasible.
Right.
So that's why I'm saying I might have to go off grid again and save enough money to buy a mobile home, you know, and then move it in on a park. That I can afford.
The hard-hit town of Talent still bears the scars of that September day.
Everything on one side of Talent Avenue completely annihilated.
Dominic Della Sala is a longtime Talent resident. He has spent years studying climate change and warning of its impact on wildfires. Della Sala had to evacuate along with all his neighbors. He feels lucky his home survived. But when he surveys the new construction in Talent, he sees how quickly it could all go up in flames again.
Part of me looks at this and says, we're not building better. I mean, this used to be a forest. And instead of being it out in the forest, it's in these buildings and it's totally flammable. So if there's another fire in here, some point in the future, and we have seen these western towns burn not once, but twice, this is the worst possible way to build a house.
A new wildfire season is underway, which threatens to be worse than last year's.
All of the forecasts have been well above the level of danger or risk that we would have at this time of the year. All right.
Fire Chief Bob Horton says they've learned from the Almeda fire and other explosive wildfires happening across the West.
We're getting greater fires of greater intensity and greater frequency of fire. We absolutely have to be more aggressive at managing the risk and just more effort and energy put into hardening homes in the wildland-urban interface, and it's the reducing the hazardous vegetation around people's properties.
Dominic Della Sala says the fires are part of runaway climate chaos, and without action to address that, future generations face more losses.
This community has struggled with a lot of grief. It's rebuilding itself, but in terms of the bigger picture, this is all connected. When we change our atmosphere, when we destroy our wild areas, we alter the climate, so we're seeing fire misbehaving, causing catastrophic urban fire events.
If we try to attack this problem like we always have, assuming that it's the same problem, we will not find success. And if the environment we're operating in changes, and it obviously has, then we have to change too.
And change quickly before the next fire becomes a catastrophe. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Stephanie Tsai in Southern Oregon.